Salutations, thine grand viewer. On thy fine fortnight hath us zombies to execute via our leaved greenery. Join yours truly in a conquest to completeth this world, perchance. If ye must hath a ruse or debrief, kindly refer to the premier act on yon top righteth corner. Elsewise, I shall giveth ye rundown rules. Only leafy plants, no power-ups, skip special levels, don't touch pre-planted plants. Before beginning, I want to thank you all for your past and future support. It all means a lot to me. Now let's dethrone these zombies. The Dark Ages has a very special trait. Sun doesn't fall from the sky since it's night. So, we can plant many iceberg lettuces and a chard guard or a blover. That's all. Gold leaf is just out of reach at 80 sun. Iceberg lettuce and chard guard do not provide enough stalling for our lawnmowers to complete the level. So where do we go from here? I considered using chard guard to break open sun gravestones. If we managed to do such a thing, we would have enough sun to plant a cabbage pult that could break open another sun gravestone for a net 0 sun cost. Unfortunately, chard guard by itself takes 4 attacks to kill a basic zombie. A gravestone has 3 times as much health, requiring 12 attacks from a chard guard to break. With a 75 sun limit, that would require 3 plant foods and a zombie activating all the chard guard attacks. So that's not an option. What next? Well, we could give up. This world is simply impossible. We cannot proceed without a sun producer, but I think I have a better solution. It involves gold leaf. Of course, it is outlined under rule number 2 that we can't level up plants, but allow me to strike a deal. Gold leaf is a very hard plant to level up. Seed packets are not available through typical means. They must be bought through the almanac for gems and coins when enlightenment is featured. But once obtained, we can see the upgrade for gold leaf. The only change is a sun cost reduction to 75, which is coincidentally the exact amount of sun we start with. I'd argue, for the sake of fun, rather than skipping the whole world, we allow this upgrade for this series. But knowing how the rest of this world will go, I want to assure you that this upgrade will not make these levels easy. This is the hardest world I've had to face so far. So, back to night 1. We start off with placing iceberg lettuces as fast as we can, using them to stall zombies and wait for gold leaf to charge. It's important that we keep the level moving slow as possible to build up a sun stash. By the end of the level, we are hanging on with 1 row of plants and no lawnmowers. And even with things looking so bleak, our first try of the level is just enough to clear it. We can quite easily ditch blover as it is not very useful for us just yet. It will make a return, though, as one of the most vital plants for this world. Using a similar strategy to night 1, we continue to hang on with no lawnmowers and very little sun. At a certain point, we manage to stabilize and finish off the last of the zombies. Night 3 lets us pick all of our plants. This time, since we can use bok choy, we have the ability to clear high health zombies, and many of them when clumped together. Using this tactic, we can take out the rest of the medieval undead on our first try of the level. A conveyor belt on night 4 gives us cabbage pults to use against the zombies. I really wanted this level to be possible, but without some sort of save state tampering, I don't think it's really feasible. Cabbage pult doesn't have the damage output to deal with waves of cone heads and bucket heads. So, unfortunately, we will be skipping this level. We have a new nightmare to deal with on night 5. Jesters make their debut. The most threatening thing about them at the moment is their movement speed when going against cabbage pults. In the future, they will render our cabbage pults useless. For now, we just put up with their antics and clear them, and the rest of the level, with plenty of bok choys. Night 6 is the last stand. I ran a row of headbutters and chard guards, which left me with plenty of extra sun to solidify a victory. Knights of the Living Dead arise on night 7. You'd think this means the level is easy, only dealing with armored basics. However, we have to play very carefully, as taking out a knight with bok choy is no easy feat. Even a plant food is hardly enough to take out a knight. Fortunately, by our second attempt, we find a good strategy to match the zombie spawning pattern and beat the level. Evil potions begin spawning on night 9. These steroids wouldn't mean much to us if they didn't increase zombie speed. The quick advancing zombies become very hard to manage with limited sun. Even by the 5th attempt at the level, things were looking rough, but eventually I found my rhythm. Using chard guards and blover was a great way to clear the high health zombies, and night helmets don't do anything against a combo that literally kills any zombie. My worst fear shows its face on night 11. Wizard zombies turn my plants into useless sheep. The worst part about them is that it's so hard for me to get rid of them. Whenever they touch a plant, they immediately turn that plant into a sheep. They do it so fast that if I plant a charred guard on top of one, it transforms before the charred guard gets a single attack. Generally, the best counterplay is to play charred guard in front of him, wait for him to inch forward, and then time a perfect blower to wipe him off the screen. As long as I can reliably kill wizards, I shouldn't have too much of a problem, but the timing is really difficult. Either way, night 11 gives us little trouble, until the final flag. On the second flag, 5 wizards are sent at once, and they very quickly sheepify my whole lawn. Using a well-placed bonk choy with a well-timed plant food, I can clear 3 of those wizards at once, greatly reducing the risk of my garden becoming a shepherd's wet dream. A second bonk choy solidifies the win. Night 12 has a big problem. I'll see if you can spot it. There is a line of puff shrooms to protect, which normally wouldn't be so bad. Unfortunately, due to the rules of this challenge, though, I can't use plant food on puff shrooms to refresh their decay timer. Are there any other options? Well, when a puff shroom is turned into a sheep by a wizard zombie, its timer pauses, and when returning from sheep state, its timer is reset. If we could keep the puff shrooms continuously getting turned into sheep, then perhaps we can complete this level. But, as you can see, we don't even make it past the first zombie before the puff shrooms disappear, and a wizard zombie doesn't appear until much later in the level. So what other solutions are there? I think there is a good compromise for this problem. Even though the puff shrooms have an endangered tile underneath them, I'm still able to plant a gold leaf in their space. Technically, gold leaf doesn't do anything when plant food is used on it, but since it's there, I think that it's reasonable that I can plant food a gold leaf, which, by happenstance, also plant foods the puff shroom on top of it. But I do want to be clear that I will only be using plant food on the gold leaf if the puff shrooms are blinking. This limits my power a little bit, so I can't use the puff shrooms to carry the level so much. But let me assure you, this does not suddenly make the level easy. Now we have to get past the next roadblock, getting a plant food and a gold leaf in time, before the puff shrooms disappear. Well, gold leaf has a recharge time of 50 seconds, and puff shroom has a lifespan of 60. Basic math tells us that we should have 10 seconds to plant a gold leaf, which is plenty of time. So why does this happen? Well, sometimes this happens too. But why is this? Well, it turns out that some sort of oversight means that the puff shroom's timer starts when you enter the level, before you've even picked your plants. The longer I stay on the plant selection screen, the more timer the puff shrooms lose. So what happens if we skip this as fast as possible? We have a split second to plant gold leaf, and then an even splitter second to use a plant food. It took me 8 attempts just to get a gold leaf planted in time. Once I finally managed that, the rest of the level wasn't so hard. At least, comparatively. I still had to micromanage the puff shrooms and keep zombies away from them, but I was committed to winning this level after all the trouble I went through, and I managed to pull through. Even the very end was a nail-biter because I was out of plant food and a beheaded corpse stayed frozen for way too long. Night 14 has a sun production requirement, which would normally be no problem. However, we aren't allowed to bring sun-producing plants, so no gold leaf. This starts us off with one very big issue. How are we supposed to begin breaking the provided sun graves? I tried Charred Guard, but there just isn't really any chance. The only option is to cheat. That makes this level impossible. But for the sake of entertainment, we will try by using a Gravebuster on one sun grave at the beginning. This gives us 175 sun to work with, so we can start building our defense. Now once we break through a few more graves, we can collect enough sun to build a solid defense with bonk choys. Plant foods on them often result in a huge sun boost, too. With not much trouble, we finish off all the zombies in the second flag, but we also lose the level. Even if I broke the remaining 3 sun gravestones, I'd still be 1300 sun away from the sun quota, so even with all this effort, we can't beat the level. There might have been a handful of graves blocked from appearing by other graves, but I highly doubt that even if it blocked 1300 sun worth of graves, that it would be possible to collect them all. Instead, what I did was completed the level again, except I saved a couple of zombies to feed sunbeans to. And when I killed the last zombie, I fed it so many sunbeans that he dropped almost 3000 sun. Overall, this level is impossible, but it also pre-picks some plants, so it does fall under the category of skippable levels. The last stand on night 15 gives me little trouble since I don't have to worry about sun production. A necromancy of wizards definitely gives me a scare. but plant food and cabbage bolts take care of them real quick. Zombie King makes his debut on night 16, and he creates some serious problems. The knights have such high health that there is essentially no chance of taking them out with damage. Maybe we can try our classic instant kill combo? Charguard and Blover can instantly eliminate any knight with good timing. However, this isn't sustainable. Finding enough sun plus the slow recharge time can't deal with the swarm of knights. So we can't kill the knights with damage, we can't kill the knights with Blover. What else can we do? Well, can't we just not have to deal with them in the first place? This is a little optimistic, of course, but I think it's a good way to go from here. If we can kill the king before they can start knighting zombies, then we don't have to deal with them. Headbutter Lettuce is the best option to deal with zombies this way. Its high damage can even occasionally deal with knights themselves. When we finally get a good start to this level, we can fight our way through, but it's one hell of an uphill battle. The entire time we are fighting zombies just inches from our house, but by clearing the last few zombies, the kings are dethroned and we can move on to night 17. On night 17, it's back to potions. Unlike the king, we can't just prevent them from appearing, so we have to use brute force to kill the beefy zombies. Headbutter Lettuce is a great way to deal with them. Only a handful of attempts and we finish off the drugged zombies. Night 18 only provides iceberg lettuce. Skip. And now for night 19, the hardest puzzle of this world so far. We are tasked with keeping 3 magnet shrooms alive, but they're positioned at the front of the lawn. How are we supposed to keep them from being eaten when it takes us about 2 minutes just to start getting a bit of sun production? By wave 2, a zombie is already heading towards the magnet shrooms. Well, our manual lawnmower can take it out, but then we get 3 knights immediately coming next, and we've only got enough sun for a charred guard. Where do we go now? Well, we can begin by solving part of the problem. Rerolling zombie spawns by restarting the game can clump them together in lanes without magnet shrooms. This lets us set up a bit of a defense in front of the magnet shrooms themselves, while letting our lawnmowers take care of the other zombies. We will set up some very specific iceberg lettuces, and I'll show you why in a bit. Then we can use magnet shroom to plant our gold leaves under. While we stall, the wave of knights appear. Our icebergs hold them off a little longer, and in the lane with 2 zombies, we can launch a lawnmower to keep our magnet shroom safe. A charred guard does work in the bottom lane while we stall the zombie on top. From there, it's a somewhat self-explanatory setup. One important tactic is abusing the wizard zombie by letting him turn our magnets into sheep. This lets him walk past while we defend other lanes. Things may look bleak at this point, but it's not over yet. We've now got a steady setup for sun production, so setting up attacking plants is a viable option. The necromancy of imps definitely gives us a scare, but good reaction time just barely saves us. For the rest of this flag, it's just all about being able to stand off against the heaps of knights. Then the last flag comes in, and we are pretty much in the money. The gargantors are fortunately sent in the lanes without magnet shrooms, and Headbutter Lettuce is a great counter since it can butter the gargs and stop them from smashing my plants. And just like that, somehow, we beat this impossible seeming level. And that does it for the Dark Ages. That was a rough one, for me especially. This might have been my longest script ever typed, at over 2,500 words and almost 15,000 characters, but I hope it was entertaining. Thanks so much for watching through until the end. If you did, please leave me a hashtag LVZDA in the comments, and I'll give your comment a heart. Also, please feel free to join my Discord. It's just starting up, so hop in and be one of the first people in my community to join. The link is in the description. I'll see you all soon for the Neon Mixtape Tour.